Alrighty, Broncos country. Looks like we are live, but you guys know the drill by now. We got to let the stream breathe for just a second here and make sure that everything is nice and stable all across the YouTube platform. What's going on, Broncos country? Welcome into this Denver Broncos Syndicate postgame show after your Denver Broncos defeat the 49ers in their preseason debut 30-9. It was overall a really solid outing for the Denver Broncos. I know that some out there will be disappointed in the outing of the first team offense in particular. Sean Payton is one of those people. He said that performance, in his own words, was average to below average. So obviously there's a lot to clean up from this game, but in a glorified practice, which basically what preseason is, the Broncos were able to get some good work in. Bo Nix, I thought that he was more solid than people are giving him credit for. He made some decent throws out there. He had one play in particular that he definitely wants back. That was the play where the 49ers sent basically a free rusher. The protection looked like it was off from the get-go on that play. Bo Nix flushes out. He throws it away from the end zone, which he said he was instructed to do, but he didn't get it back to the line of scrimmage, so it resulted in an intentional grounding penalty from the end zone, which is a safety. That was like the only bad play that we really saw from Bo Nix. If I'm being completely honest, Bo Nix was fine. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't perfect, but he was fine. He made decent decisions. He was able to stand in and make a really nice throw on fourth down to Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin is another guy that I thought played really well in this game. He was able to make some really nice catches. He was able to show an expanded route tree in game, which is what we've seen in practice so far. So I'm very pleased with seeing that from Troy Franklin. There's a lot of positive to take away. Nick Bonitto, he absolutely wrecked that one drive there, the second offensive possession for the 49ers. He completely wrecked shop, 3 straight plays, provided pressure, got a sack on one of them, and just completely shut down shop on that particular drive. Then the offense, they went downfield. On their first possession, they were able to at least move the ball. They did stall out on third down. Bo Nix throwed short of the sticks. It was a decent decision, but still the drive stalled out and they punted it away. The second offensive drive was the safety. And then third offensive drive, the final drive with the starters in there, they got something going a little bit, and they were able to march downfield into field goal range, and Will Lutz put the Broncos on the board. From that point on, it was all Denver. The second team defense came in, and they were lights out. The second team and third team defense netted a total of 4 turnovers in this game. And then they had a turnover on downs as well. So in essence, 5 turnovers for the Denver Broncos. Really good stuff. We saw Jordan Turner. We saw Corrine Reed out there, the undrafted free agent linebacker, make a play. Jaquan McMillan had a pick. Really, really good stuff, man. Joshua Pickett also had a pick. J.L. Skinner forced a fumble. Savion Jones with the recovery. We've got KBS in the house saying Nix didn't look good. I disagree with that. I thought he looked fine. For Stiddy to come in and cook the exact same defense without starters got me worried. By the time Stiddy came in, it was third and fourth stringers. Yes, Nix was going against backups, and there was one play, that safety play, that was a bit of a cause for concern. But overall, I thought Nix's day was better than he got credit for. He was fine. Wasn't amazing. Wasn't perfect. He was just okay. We got Roan in the house. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well. So overall, the run game, all 4 quarters, I thought the run game sustained itself. Sorry about that, guys. My mic came unplugged. I thought the run game was able to sustain itself for all 4 quarters. RJ Harvey looked really solid. One criticism that I would have of RJ Harvey is that he looks to bounce his runs to the outside, sometimes before the hole would develop. There was one play in particular where he bounced out, and it looked like if he had just remained a little bit more patient, he would have been able to bounce inside for a run to the middle. So I do think that is one area where RJ Harvey could stand to get a little bit better, but showed a burst and explosiveness that we haven't seen in this Denver Broncos run game in a long damn time, man. So really happy to see that. I thought J.K. Dobbins didn't really do a whole lot out there, but looked decent, especially in pass protection, which is going to be a big role for him in 2025. And then Jaleel McLaughlin, Tyler Bidet, all of these guys looked good. Blake Watson, I thought, had a good day. Audric Estime, he was fine, but as of right now, I would say that he's the final running back on the Broncos depth chart. And if they had to do roster cuts today, then Audric Estime would be on the outside looking in. We've got Dylan in the house. Good to see you, Dylan. Hope you're doing well. KBS said RJ Harvey and Troy looked great, though. Yes, they both definitely looked great. And then we already talked about the defensive line. They were making plays out there. They were applying pressure. We saw Nick Benito. We saw Jonah Ellis. Dondre Tillman had some action out there. Didn't really see a whole lot of action from the first team interior line, Zach Allen, JFM, those guys, but it was a quick cameo for them, and then they pretty much departed right away. So not too concerned about that. I'm excited for next week. I'm assuming starters are going to get a little bit more action in the next preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals. So also, special teams. I thought that the return from Courtney Jackson was fantastic. I thought that Will Lutz was able to bounce back rather well. Jeremy Crawshaw did not have a very good day out there as the punter. I thought that he had a couple of short punts. There was one he got lucky on, and it took a roll, but that was still a really short kick that he just got lucky with a roll on. And then a couple of other ones, he didn't place them well. So I'm looking for more consistency from Jeremy Crawshaw in these next two preseason games. But a lot of positive things to take away, in my opinion. I thought that the secondary was locked down all four quarters. Jaquan McMillan had the pick. I thought that Joshua Pickett, he made that really nice play on the sideline. He played well overall in this game. Riley Moss had a rough play at the beginning where he had the corner turned on him for a run for a touchdown, but Riley Moss had a couple of good reps out there, in my opinion. So the secondary, definitely impressive. We got Mark in the house saying Bidet looked really good. I'll tell you what, the cuts in the running back room are going to be really difficult for the Broncos. They're going to have to make some tough decisions because all the running backs outside of Audric Estime have showed a lot of positivity. And Tyler Bidet, there might not be a spot for him on the active roster. And will you be able to get him through on waivers? He's been here in Denver since 2022, and he hasn't really been able to establish himself into a starting role. Does he maybe want to go try to find an opportunity elsewhere where maybe he can see more playing time? I don't know. Chris Abrams-Drain is a beast. Yes, I thought KAD played really well. He was sticky in coverage, had a nice PBU, so super impressed with Chris Abrams-Drain. The defense as a whole, outside of that first drive where Jaquan McMillan gave up a big completion, and then again, Riley Moss had the corner turned on him. Outside of that, defense was shut down for all four quarters. Once the 49ers pulled Mac Jones and then they put in Carter Bradley, it wasn't really fair competition at that point. The 49ers, by the time we got to the second quarter, they were playing third, fourth, fifth stringers out there. So in that sense, you'd kind of expect domination. Yeah, Karene Reed got a pick. That was really nice. It was basically a ball that was thrown right to him. It was a double mug look before the snap, and then both linebackers dropped into coverage, and Bradley wasn't expecting it all. He didn't even see Karene Reed underneath, and Reed was able to pick it off. Bradley threw it basically right to him. Mark says, thanks, Gage, for this awesome channel. Thank you guys for making it awesome by tuning in and interacting in these live streams. We had an absolutely incredible game stream today. That was so much fun. Thoughts on Pat Bryant? Bryant played well, had a couple of really nice catches out there. His route running looked clean and crisp. I'll have more thoughts on Bryant after I watch the All-22. I imagine that will be out in the morning. Once the All-22 is out, we're going to do a bunch of film studies. We're going to start off with Bo Nix because I already know that various local hot take artists are going to say bad stuff about Bo Nix after the day that he had. Again, I thought that he had a much better day than he got credit for. But Jarrett Stidham, hats off to you, dude. Jarrett Stidham played a fantastic game. He was decisive. He was crisp. He was clean. He was accurate. He was able to make some good plays with his legs, and he was able to make some positive plays while under pressure. In the two regular season starts that Jarrett Stidham got for the Broncos in 2023, he struggled mightily under pressure. And that was a common theme in last year's preseason as well. And I feel like Stiddy's really done a good job of improving in that area, stepping up in the pocket, knowing where his outlets are going to be and not panicking and taking bad sacks, a la Russell Wilson. So Stidham was able to make some really nice plays. One of his touchdowns came on a busted coverage. Lucas Kroll had nobody within 10 yards of him in the end zone. It was a complete breakdown by the 49ers secondary, and Kroll was just standing around, looking around like, where's the coverage? Where are they? And it was a wide open, easy touchdown, easiest touchdown of both Stiddy's and Lucas Kroll's life. Then he had another throw, Jarrett Stidham did. It was a beautiful chef's kiss throw down the sideline to Trent Sherfield. It was incredible. The ball location was perfect. Sherfield did a great job tracking the ball and getting 2 feet, getting 2 feet in for a touchdown. So I thought that was the play of the day that came from Jarrett Stidham. Sam Ehlinger came in, tried to test the ball downfield a little bit, wasn't really getting anything to go his way. The Broncos did, I believe, have a scoring drive, if I remember correctly, under Sam Ehlinger. But overall, it was definitely the Jarrett Stidham show today. He was probably the player of the day out there, if we're being completely honest. But I thought RJ Harvey was fantastic. I thought that Troy Franklin was fantastic. I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit. Haven't done these streams in a while. But overall, I thought there was a lot of positive film to build off of. Heading into next week, another set of joint practices against the Cardinals. I'm really excited to see how they clean up some of their mistakes in this game. And I'll say this again. I did an explanation of this during our game stream. The reason why joint practices are a little bit more valuable than the actual preseason games is because in the joint practices, you're practicing against the team that you're not going to play against in the regular season. So you can show your looks both sides of the ball and not risk it getting out on tape and another team poaching it. A lot of schemes in the preseason are going to be very vanilla, both on offense and defense. They're not going to show a whole lot. It's going to be a bunch of day one basic install concepts in the actual games because they're not trying to put any tape out there for other teams to see. In the joint practices, you can show all of your looks, all of your exotic pressures, all of your blitz packages, all of that stuff, and not worry about it getting poached. Bo Nix was able to navigate that stuff from the 49ers really well in the joint practices. So I'm not as concerned about him kind of having a little bit of a shaky day in the game because he played so well in these joint practices, which, again, are more valuable, in my opinion, than these actual preseason games. And a lot of NFL teams feel that same way as well. In my opinion, JL Skinner and Talanoa Hufanga would make a nice safety tandem, and KAD is a keeper. I definitely agree with you on KAD, and I thought Skinner made a fantastic play out there. I have him making my 53-man roster as of right now. I don't think he's going to be a starter, though, just because Brandon Jones is really, really good as well. But Skinner did make a nice play, forcing that fumble. Savion Jones fell on it. Overall, really good stuff. Any linebackers stand out? I'll have to go back and watch the tape before I can really answer that one. Obviously, Corrine Reed had the pick, but I'm going to be paying attention to both Lavelle Bailey and Justin Sternad when I go back and watch the All-22. I think both of those guys are going to be in a really good position here to maybe earn a starting spot because Alex Singleton still can't stay on the field, man. Had the ACL last year, had the thumb injury this year. And yes, I know the thumb injury is minor, but you can't make the club from the tub. Lavelle Bailey has been awesome in training camp. Didn't really make any splash plays where he immediately stood out in this game, but that's not to say he had a bad game or anything like that. I'll have to go back and watch the tape before I can give a complete answer there. Devin says, do you think the starters are playing next week? I do. I think that Sean Payton feels that the starters didn't play well enough in this game. He kept him in for a drive longer than he probably wanted to. I think next week he's going to keep him in into the second quarter, get him a lot more action, hopefully get him settled in more, and then that's going to be the last we see of the starters in the preseason. I do not think that they're going to play in the final preseason game against New Orleans. So that's how Sean Payton's historically managed it. Maybe he wants to approach things a little bit differently this year, but the last 2 years, that's how Sean Payton has managed things. Starters in the first 2 games and then no starters in the final game. Yeah, I agree, Maverick. I think that next week will be the last time we see the starters until week 1, and I'm okay with that. If the starters had played a little bit better in this game, I'd say wrap him up in bubble wrap, and we don't see him out there until week 1. But realistically, I think Sean's going to want to get more work in. He's an old school football mind in the sense that he wants to play his guys in the preseason. And I do think that's good because it allows for the team to work out some of these kinks that they have now. And ultimately, working out these kinks is what's going to lead to you being successful in week 1. You think about 2022 when Nathaniel Hackett didn't play any of the starters in the preseason. Then we got to the week 1 game in Seattle, and the Broncos looked super rusty on both sides of the ball. So I like to avoid that problem as much as possible. So that's why I'm a guy who believes in playing starters in the preseason. But I can also understand people who are of the mindset they don't want to get their guys hurt. Sean Payton, it seems, has kind of found that happy balance between the two. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut this a little bit short. I still need to pump out one more video, and I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and call this post-game stream here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to both this stream as well as the game stream. Really appreciate you guys. Next week for the preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals, we will be at the stadium doing in-person coverage. So those of you that enjoy our post-game streams from the stadium, those will be back starting next week. And we'll be bringing coverage from training camp as well next week. All right, guys, be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are both free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and it helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.